we already know about like the Kick streaming, and it came out last week that basically Kick is building up off of Twitch's video service from Amazon. So it is literally a Twitch clone. But then it
Which I did already talk about on this
right,
podcast a week before it came out. I literally said it live on this podcast. I was like, hey, it's
yeah,
just literally using Twitch. And then a week later, it was like confirmed,
yeah,
this
because
is literally using Twitch. I'm like, yeah, So
yeah, and then
we have breaking
the
news here.
YouTuber Big E did like an interview with Eddie, like the owner of the website.
Yeah.
And they were talking about just sponsorships and like the future of the website. And I feel like it spurred like a lot of conversation just around what the future is, because they're not planning on necessarily having like an ad based background the same way that Twitch pushes it, and they pushed into um basically, because I feel like still at the bottom line, like one of the biggest issues, because Kick has a lot of issues, but like it's not necessarily unfixable, and it's starting to look more like a viable platform. But I kind of feel in some ways like their plan is to have direct sponsorships where you have a chance to negotiate them yourself, and they'll have like a platform for it, which I feel like will turn into like more of a marketplace, because there's already sponsors that we can get through Stream Elements and other websites. And like for people who can't reach out on their own or have representation, it's not that hard to do those things. But I feel like it does ask the question of like, does it get to a point where, since Kick is owned by the same person who owns Stake, like do streamers eventually start getting offers from gambling websites that they really can't refuse? Like if it's too good of a deal, like it's kind of, ultimately it's pretty obvious that Kick is a front for gambling. Like everyone knows that it's funding gambling. Um, I just figured it's an interesting angle that is not necessarily being talked about yet. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about it.
So when you say, and I'm going to just have you kind of clarify, because you're saying that direct sponsorships, you mean that instead of having ad pre-rolls or mid-rolls or whatever, Kick is going to just
Yeah.
have you do a read or play a video game or gamble directly with are they going to be able to get enough? I mean, like, getting those types of sponsorships is difficult. Do they say where they're going to get those from? Are they going to get them from major brands? Are we talking about just things that would only want to work with Kick? What are we talking about here?
Well, the thing is, like, the CEO said literally that he doesn't want to have a hand in it. Like, recently, Twitch rolled out sponsorship opportunities for partners, but Twitch ends up taking half the money from those offers as well, where they act as the intermediary, as well as like the actual um advertisement on the platform in general, because everyone's asking like, how's Kick going to end up being profitable or being a business um if they're not going to advertise, because that's just like the current model. And I do feel it's interesting though too, when you set everything aside, if you have a company coming out and they're like, hey, we're not focused on doing things the same way everyone else is doing it, we want to do it a new way. I think it's an argument that you can't not listen to in some ways as well, because they're actually innovating in this space, instead of Twitch just resting on their laurels and being like, hey, this is just how it works, this is the cut that you get, we're actually going to start cutting back and making things more invasive. I just think it's really interesting to think about those things.
It's always fascinating to me when people are like, oh, they're innovating or something like that, but they're innovating through subsidies, right?
Right.
The only reason they're able to innovate is because they're subsidized by gambling. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Twitch would be able to innovate if it was subsidized, but it really is not subsidized by Amazon at all. So,
Yeah. Well, Amazon's holding it back by charging it retail for the video service.
well, the other thing that Amazon is holding it back with is it's charging it retail for the video service, right? Or at least that's what we think. And then
Yeah.
the second thing is, it doesn't give them breaks. I know this for a fact. Like it doesn't give them any, it charges Twitch as if it's anyone else.
Right.
It doesn't subsidize them, and it doesn't allow them to take a loss. It wants them to be
Right.
profitable. And the fact is, live streaming right now, to try to squeeze profits out of live streaming at this very moment in time is stupid, because the industry is not at max capacity yet. And if there is one thing that I like, the one thing about the industry that is growing is that there's a lot more happening with live streaming. And you can notice it right off the rip if you go to TikTok.
Yeah.
And what are you noticing on TikTok? The crystal people selling crystals live on their channels.
Yeah.
And people are finally buying stuff from those people live. So a creator will be selling their crystals or whatever they do live on TikTok, and they'll be selling them directly to the audience. And that is something that Twitch or live streaming, and Amazon is trying with the front of Amazon, the front facing of Amazon.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of that.
But the thing is, like, there is still room to grow. You know, there is still room for live streaming to grow. So if right now you're trying to squeeze profits out of something that you don't think can grow anymore, you're seeing the end of Twitch's innovation.
Yeah.
And they're not getting subsidized or anything like that. So that's why everyone is going to Kick. Here's my issue with the whole Kick thing. I have noticed one thing about Kick. Everyone is going over there for one reason and one reason alone: money.
Yeah.
No one is going to Kick because of growth.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So when people are going over there, they're going over there because they're like, yo, I get 95 on my sub split. But none of you motherfuckers went to Facebook when they were getting 95 on the sub split as well.
That's true.
So the fact is, you're not going to grow if you go over there. You are going to squeeze your audience for the money. And right now is a extremely fucking hard time for content creators. This is probably the worst recession I've ever seen for content creation, or the only one I've ever seen for content creation, because I feel like the industry's only grown. And I think that the reason
the whole
why
industry grew after like the last big recession in 2009. Like Twitch came out, what, 2011, 2010? So like Twitch literally
before
came
that,
from
I
the
think it was
ashes
Justin
of the last
TV.
recession. Yeah, Justin TV, and then changed over to Twitch. So it's been nothing but growth for like the last decade for Twitch, and now this is the first big squeeze on content.
And the
since that
reason
time
why
frame.
it's a big squeeze, it was founded in 2006.
Oh wow.
You fucking
yeah.
idiot. Okay.
Stupid.
I'm sorry, you guys.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. How could I?
So no, the deal about it is, by the way, if you guys are listening to the chat, we're filming for the pod. We're, chill. We're going to read everything. We'll go back and forth.
We chill.
That's
Chill.
the only reason why Capri doesn't want to do it live, because he's like worried about how
I'm worried about the chat.
Yeah. Everyone's having fun. If you guys are having fun, say yeah.
Yeah, we'll just edit out all the stuff where I talk about the chat. But here's the deal. One of the big things about it is that, like we were saying about Kick, is that you're going over there, you're squeezing your existing audience.
Yeah.
And they know that they're not going to have big companies that are going to advertise on them because of the gambling, connection and stuff. Not that I feel like, I mean, to be honest, those companies advertise in Vegas. It's just because it's offshore gambling, and it's unregulated gambling, and it's gambling that probably kids can get in touch with. That's really why, because it's website gambling, which, but the deal is with all of that is that you're squeezing your audience, and when I say squeeze, like, you're trying to get money out of your audience. And I get that, because right now it's incredibly hard. And I think that the reason why this is the first major recession I've ever seen in content creation is because of the boom and bust cycle. The boom was when COVID happened. All of the companies that had money took all of their efforts and they would spend money on advertisements in every field, right? They would be like maybe 50% in real life, 50% on TV, 30, the math is wrong, but 30% on, the internet. And then they were like, well, there is no way to advertise IRL. There is no way to advertise, on TV right now. I mean, people are using social media. So they dumped all of their funds into social media.
Right.
And now they're pulling those funds back. They're clawing those funds back and moving them away. And we're already in a recession. And all of the people that were bored at home who didn't have enough content. Remember when Netflix, like during the pandemic, there was nothing coming out for a while?
Yeah.
You guys remember that? There was like a content drought.
Bird Box on 7 times. That was it.
Dude,
Bird Box.
What was it? Tiger King was like the month.
Oh, Tiger King. That's
dude.
right. That was right at the beginning of COVID, though. Tiger King, and then
when we thought we were gonna watch Tiger King and then go back to work collectively.
Yeah.
Knowing who Joe, and talk to our friends about Joe Exotic, and then we never got to. Like,
That's
we're
right.
still in the group chats.
So So during that time, there was like a drought. So TikTok blew up because people were craving content, and everyone and their mother could
Yeah.
be a famous TikToker. I mean, look at my brother; he's got fucking 7 million followers, and he's the most boring human being of all time. You know,
Turns the lights on red, kicks everybody out of his house.
it's not a podcast. It's not
I
appropriate
wonder
for
why
the
he chose
podcast.
red.
Not
Shout
not
out
te-
Dominic Andre.
not telling that story. So, anyways, it's his private life. So
Rats
Oh,
with no
man.
class.
so anyways,
I just think it's funny.
he popped off, and everyone popped off. Like even I got to 250,000 or whatever, and a couple other accounts with like decent followings. But the thing
Yeah.
is, now it's like it went back to the way it was, and now you have to be like incredibly talented, and live streaming really was the main thing, which was one thing that like watching the iDubbbz boxing thing that I noticed was so many live streamers were part of it, and maybe like 5 years ago. No one gives a shit about Twitch streamers 5 or
Yeah,
6
not
years
at
ago.
all.
I don't think like a YouTuber could have necessarily pulled that off like 5 or more years ago, like an event like that.
No. They definitely could. They did it. What do you mean doing the
At least not have it be as big as it is. Like
no,
Like
I
doing the
think
boxing.
I think the boxing event would have done good, but like 5 years ago, YouTubers were like the forefront of like celebrities,
Yeah.
like internet celebrities. Now it's like
100%, yeah.
streamers. Like you have like
Like 5 years ago would have been like PewDiePie and
Yep.
and
Mhm.
that Numa guy.
well, the
What
thing
was like
is
who was
now-
popular 5 years ago? Well, it was kind of like the 2015s. I would say like 5 to 7 years ago.
Okay.
It would be
Yeah.
like iDubbbz and H3, same people, but then you wouldn't really have a mix of live streamers in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And now there's a lot of streamers like Amaranth was running it and SFan, and you had fucking like a bunch of streamers like during this event. Like you have the Botez, like a lot of streamers are becoming mainstream. Like I think streaming is the thing now. You know, like even AB. AB's on the H3 podcast and they were like shouting out, which is smart of AB, obviously. They were shouting out his Twitch stream, you know, and he just started streaming like a couple months ago. And he's a big
Smart.
streamer, but he's not a major streamer. He's like a 300-400, I think,
Right.
about 300 to 1,000 average. So it's wild to me, like where streaming is, where content creation is, how it all shifted during the pandemic. And I remember talking to this dude who was a manager for a bunch of people's IGs. Like he was like manager for famous people. He was like an agent. And
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
COVID, he's like, dude, my whole job went upside down. He was like, a lot of people that
Oh,
were
that's
famous
crazy.
no longer
Yeah.
famous. A lot of people that were not famous became famous overnight. So like I had to shift my entire business.
That's crazy.
How's he doing now?
I haven't talked to him.
So it's probably not good.
I don't know.
Or you're not famous enough for him.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him since. There's nothing wrong. I just had a couple conversations with a dude over like it was like a cousin's friend, and then I just never saw the
Always
guy
a
again.
cousin's friend, man. Always a cousin's friend.
Listen, I'm an Arab. I got a lot of cousins, brother.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you know. But yeah, so Kick having those direct, things, it's because the reason why they're doing that is because they can't get people to do pre-rolls. You're not going to get Coca-Cola to pre-roll someone
Yeah.
half nude or Aiden Ross with fucking, I don't even want to say what his chat says, but like something W Hitler. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's what
I mean,
I was, watching it the other
That's
day.
one
It's
of the
just,
that's one of the biggest issues with the platform, though, is like the fact that they're not regulating creators like that. Is they're just like they haven't taken any action. They just let people do that stuff, and that's ultimately not good for the platform. But like with the release of the app, they recently they shut down the more sexual streams. Like you can't wear lingerie or twerk for subs or things like that. Like it's more
Yeah.
like Twitch in that respect. But I mean, like I think
I like how
what
they
you're
shut that
kinda
down.
saying-
They shut down like the half naked people, not the racist.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, they don't. Yeah, not
These
the-
naked,
so-
these
Not the
nude people.
transphobic people, just like everybody's just kind of like naked.
Let's
a
not
little.
stop the Nazis. Let's stop the half naked people. You know?
I
Yeah.
mean, at least aside from like train wrecks, so I don't feel like you really get from the ownership that they're saying like this is the free speech America platform. Like they're literally trying to find a way to deal with it without completely pushing everyone off the platform at the same time. But obviously, some people just probably they're not. Some people just aren't good for
There's an
business
easy way to deal with it.
inherently.
Just
Like, yeah,
just say you can't have racist stuff in your chat. Like,
right, yeah, yeah. You got
can
to
you have
regulate
racist?
that.
Here's a question. Could you have racist stuff on YouTube like that?
No.
No.
I think you can, but you just get demonetized.
Well, yeah, they just suppress the fuck out of it. But I
So
mean, the
then
thing is,
basically
though,
it's no. So like
Just
you,
be like,
you can
yeah,
still
you know,
say it.
yeah, be like,
You can't
Aiden
make a
Ross, you want to have
living.
racist people in your chat? No sub button.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, do you think that's going to stop it though? Like, they'll monetize other ways. Like, you're still
No, that's the issue
platforming
with
the
live.
bigots, though.
That's the issue with live streaming is that like you can't. It's really hard to deplatform racist stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have a
Because-
plan in the audience. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's not
Somebody who's,
really
like,
hard.
monitoring.
It's not really hard. You just say like you're banned
I
if
mean,
you have
they-
racist shit in your.
They
that-
should just start issuing bans if he's not going to control, like, shape his community to like basically be civilized. You know?
It's scary for me to go over there, dude. I played fucking one flight simulator over on Twitch and I got racist shit. If I'm playing
Yeah.
flight simulator on fucking Kick, dude,
Did you play Flight Simulator the other day?
I had chat play flight simulator and I did